of the wealthy and a small elite. It's a matter of social justice.
We saw an advert from Classics for All about an opportunity for inner city schools to teach Latin. It just sounded exceptionally exciting, and we definitely wanted to get involved. So we contacted Hilary straight away and said, what do we do next? Where do we sign?
I'll kind of get this. You teach Latin to inner Birmingham City School children? Because of course the stereotypes are there. Why are we teaching them such an old language? And again, it comes back to that root of vocabulary. It helps us across the curriculum. The children love it. They absolutely adore it. You say we're doing Latin and they're on the edge of their seats.
I like it because it's the etymology of words, and it helps to speak new languages.
The children just, when they see something they recognise, it's just a buzz in the classroom that you can't explain. It's just over to them, really.
So around 18 months ago, we were invited, shall we say, by our head teacher that we would be introducing Latin into the school for the first time. Myself and Sophie were given 12 hours worth of training.
A lady came in from Classics for All and looked at Latin all around us to kind of let us know that we knew more than we thought we did. And I think that was a real light bulb moment where we looked at each other and thought, actually, we can do this.
I feel really lucky because not a lot of people would get the opportunity. It's an exciting language to learn. It is really fun.
Without that funding, without that grant to begin with, we'd be nowhere near where we are now with it.
People ask me, what do you do for your A-levels? And I say, I do classic civilization. So immediately what on earth is that? And then I go on to explain, it's a bit of history, the Romans, the Greeks, a bit of literature, and immediately a lot of people are like, wow, that sounds really interesting. I never got the opportunity to do that.
I think classics is really, really important for giving students confidence. And then they're not thrown, if a politician is spouting a bit of Greek or making a reference to a mythical battle or something like that. Often people do use it as a way to sort of try to suggest they are more intelligent than someone else. And actually what it is, it's not an intelligence thing, it's an opportunities thing.
I think classics enables you to be a very well-rounded individual. If more people are aware of kind of political propaganda in the ancient world, they'll be able to recognise it in every day. So more people would kind of be aware of what the politicians are trying to spin, which I think is a really valuable skill.
As a former student here, I went off to university and did ancient history, and you can really see, again, there's a number of students who are wanting to fulfil their ambitions to study classics or ancient history at university, which is brilliant to see.
It's been a fantastic addition to our suite of A-level courses here at Greenhead.
Without the funding and the continuation of it, that will stop, and we'll lose a whole generation of maybe easy wins, if you like.
Having someone like Classics for All to help is going to be vital in encouraging people to push for it in new centres in the future.
Gratias tibi ago.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Hello? I trust that you can all hear me, so I'll continue. Hello, my name is Jimmy Melville. I'm very fortunate enough to be the chairman of Classics for All, and welcome to this, it's a red letter day in our calendar year. It's the day of the annual Classics for All Teachers Awards. Now, before we get on to that, I just wanted to draw your attention to the fact that the Classics for All is going really well. It's going from strength to strength. You may have read the Times in the last few days, where we actually appeared on the front page of the Times, and it was praising our efforts in primary schools, which was absolutely fantastic. As I say, Hilary Hodgson will be giving out the prizes a bit later on. But just to whet your appetite, we've invited a couple of guests to talk about their experiences in classics and their interactions with Classics for All, our beloved charity. And we've invited Kitty Lowe along to have a quick chat with me before we get into the main event. So Kitty, can you hear me?
Yes. Hello.
The wonders of Zoom. Hi. Hi, Kitty. So you were a pupil. You're currently doing an MA at Cambridge in classics. Is that right?
Yes.
Right. Specifically, anything?
Specifically, Greek travel narratives in the 2nd and 3rd centuries CE.
Excellent. And you did your degree at Cambridge as well. But before that, you did your classics. You encountered classics through Classics for All. You can. I should ask you how that happened.
Yes. Well, at my school, my teacher was Annabelle, who now works for Classics for All.
Right.
But she was running a sort of lunchtime Latin club in year 9. And it was very popular. And then we got to take up a GCSE and A-level. And when I was in 6th form, we got taken on a couple of trips. We went to see a Classics for All kind of mock debate, a trial of Socrates.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that's what we were doing with Classics for All at school. And then after I left, she went to work for Classics for All, and then was talking about the Classics for All chorus, which is.
So can you explain that? Because I was catching up with that recently. That's a new initiative with at Classics for All. It's happened in the last 18 months, hasn't it? Yeah. What do you do in the chorus?
Well, we aim to connect young people across the UK who are interested in classics. It's geared towards people who are 16 to 25. And one of the things we do is put on termly events called the Forum, where we invite authors to have Q&As with members of the chorus.
Right.
Claire Pollard a few months ago, and last week we had an event with Jennifer Saint, who just published Atalanta. We also have a blog called The Rostra, which students anywhere in the UK can submit to, and their articles will be edited by a member of the chorus steering committee, sorry.
Right.
And members of the chorus also invited to take part in fundraising events for Classics for All. So more generally, we're just thinking about ways to connect young classicists, especially from state schools. Like, for example, we offer a monthly roundup of classics events to let them know what's going on near them, things like that. And then all of our events are on Zoom. So they're.
How do you gather all this material? Is it just people just basically swapping information with each other online?
Yeah, so the steering committee puts together the monthly roundup, and we find that often through Classics and for All events that are being put on, but also just things online. And then authors, normally either one of the steering committee has an interest in the author and we get in touch through their publisher, their agent. But yeah, just through our monthly meetings, everyone brings something to the table and we see what we come up with.
And how big is the community now? I mean, when it started, I guess it was quite small, was it? And then has it been growing ever since?
Yeah, we've now got over 100 members, and our events are all very well attended. The Jennifer Saint event last week, I think we had about 100 signups and 50 attendees or something, which was amazing for a Zoom event.
So the message to anyone who's tuning in is if they wanted to become part of the chorus, is they can contact you through our website, or?
Yes, they can. If you just Google Classics for All the chorus, you can email Gussie, whose email address is on the page, and get involved like that.
Great. And so what's your next steps? I mean, now you've had this great kind of education in classics, where are you heading next?
I'm starting a PGCE in September. To
explain what, for those of us who are acronym phobic, can you please explain what?
It's a teacher training at
Right.
King's College London to be a Latin teacher.
You're going to be a Latin teacher?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we need you, and we need many more like you. And what would you say in terms of, when people are considering, I love doing classics at school because I was good at it and I liked it, and that's always a good thing to pursue when you like something and you're competent at it. But the usual query that I used to get was, why are you bothering with the classics? What was it that kind of attracted you to doing it? I mean, for me, it was escapism, and the idea that I was reading about these extraordinary people that lived 2,000 years ago, and yet they were quite similar in many ways to me. So I felt a great connection. But what was there any particular event or moment where you thought, this is for me?
I think it was when I was studying Latin A level and we did Catullus. Just like what you were saying about it, just is so, it feels so familiar, everything he's writing. But then you occasionally kind of step back and have this dizzying realization that it was written 2,000 years ago. But it's so expansive, like for people who aren't into the literature or the language, there are so many different things in classics that can appeal to you, like the art, the archaeology, the philosophy, history. And I think it's a very unique subject because it offers you a way of kind of learning how to take an informed and critical stance to the past, which is obviously a totally different culture to our own, but in many ways totally like ours, and we can learn a lot from it.
Yeah, I also find sometimes that you read something in the newspaper or you hear it on the news, and your mind immediately snaps back to a moment in ancient history. You think, oh my gosh, that's exactly. I was thinking about Yevgeny Prigozhin's march on Moscow last week, and how Sulla, marched on Rome in 80 BC, and it's just the connections are I find that quite interesting. That there's nothing new under the sun. I said to Mary Beard once that she should sit in on cabinet meetings. The government has a bright new idea. She should remind them that they thought about that 2,000 years ago. It didn't work out that well. Anyway, listen, everyone's desperate to know who's won our prizes, Kitty. So I want to thank you very much for spending some time with us and for reaffirming the value of classics. And I'm now going to hand over to Hilary Hodson, our beloved leader, who's now going to hand out the prizes for the primaries.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I'm Hilary. I'm the Chief Executive of Classics for All, and it's a real pleasure to host the 3rd annual Classics Teaching Awards ceremony. I think we're looking forward maybe to a live one next year, but this is our opportunity to recognise the outstanding achievements of all of the schools that we work with and our wonderful network coordinators. It's been a really challenging academic year, I think, with ongoing strike action, and schools are still feeling the long-term effects of the pandemic. And so I think it's particularly important to celebrate the superhuman efforts that you're all making to keep the classical flame alive. Today, you are quite honoured actually, because we've limited the awards today to 15. I know it sounds a lot, but they were way more than that nominations. And each of the nominations comes from our hardworking regional coordinators who operate all the way from Scotland down to Cornwall. And so for each award winner, there were probably about 20 more which deserved recognition. So the decisions have been tough. And we want to extend congratulations to all the other schools that are part of our Classics for All family. And a huge shout as well to our regional network coordinators, who really are the kind of local beating heart of Classics for All, the people who do the real work. With such a competitive field, you can be sure that if you're listed today, you've made an exceptional contribution to widening access to classics in state schools. And so we hope you enjoy one another's stories. And so I'm going to start with the primary schools. And first off the list, that doesn't mean to say they're the best necessarily, just happen to be alphabetically first on the list. The first award to our Blackpool network goes to Norbreck Primary School, where Kate Howarth has been a phenomenal champion for Latin. From offering no Latin at all just a few years ago, Kate now leads a team of 3 other teachers with Latin taught across a 3-form entry school from years 3 to 6. That's over 300 pupils. The school and the staff have also featured in promotional films, highlighting the benefits of Latin for students across the country. So here's to Kate. And Kate, would you like to say a few words?
Hopefully that's working. Am I there?
Yes, you're with us.
Hello, hi. Thanks, that worked. Thank you very much, Hilary, for your kind words. Here at Norbreck, we are honoured to be nominated for this award. As you mentioned, we now have over 350 children from years 3 to 6 enjoy Latin lessons here every week, many of whom are from very disadvantaged backgrounds. It's widened our children's understanding of language, and they regularly now make that connection between Latin and English words, which is absolutely fantastic. Children have even encouraged their own families to visit Vindolanda and taking our very own puppet Minimus with them for a little holiday and to bring us back some snacks. But all of this wouldn't be possible without the wonderful support of Peter Wright, who's absolutely fantastic in our region, and also the great professional development that all of you at Classics for All and support that you give us. So thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Kate, you're a shining example, and we know Peter is a huge light, leading light in the network. Thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you.
And you can turn your camera off now, Kate. And second in our list tonight is from the Devon and Cornwall network is Yelpston Farm Primary School. Down in the southwest, the school nominated by our coordinator Mike Beer is Yelpston. And since training, Esther Archer, the teacher there, has introduced Latin. Mike checks in regularly and is delighted by how enthusiastically Esther champions the subject in her school. She attends network events, encourages her colleagues. She also hosts sessions for teachers, showing other local schools how to get started in Classic. It's a superb team effort, and congratulations to Esther. Esther, would you like to say a few words?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, we're really incredibly honoured to receive this award this evening. We've been delighted to offer Latin as part of our curriculum offer. So we've been doing it for 2 years at Yelpston Farm. We have over 120 children doing it in Key Stage 2 at the moment. It's transformed our curriculum. So initially the rationale was about making it accessible and having something that wasn't elitist and everybody could enjoy and see the relevance in their own lives. But we've actually also really pushed the fact that the impact it has on our English curriculum. So children are really understanding the etymology of language, developing their vocabulary, and just enjoying the kind of detective skills that they gain when they're looking at the origins of language. It's absolutely transformed the children's reading comprehension skills, massive impact. And the children love it. They really look forward to their Latin lesson. So we're really grateful to the support that we received from Mike Beer. He had you can see from the photograph on the screen, he came and visited our Year 6 class last week, which was a fantastic lesson. And all of our teachers teaching it have really embraced the subject, given that nobody in the school had any previous experience of teaching Latin or even learning Latin themselves. So everybody's really thrown themselves into it. So thank you very much. We're really honoured, and we look forward to continuing with this as a really intrinsic part of our curriculum. Thank you.
It's wonderful to hear how enthusiastically and well that's being sustained. And any help you need, Esther, you can come back to us at any point. Well done. Thank you very much. And now I go to our third primary school award of 4, which is to a school in our Leicester network. So, under the inspired leadership of Sophie Waldron, St Winifred's Roman Catholic School in Shepshed, Leicestershire, has shown huge commitment to teaching about the ancient world. Only a year in, over 63 pupils in year 3 to 5 are now learning Latin on the curriculum. Teachers have noticed that pupils with special educational needs have benefited particularly from the change to an ancient language. Pupils have also relished the chance to learn more about life in Leicestershire under the Romans through the excellent resources designed by the team at Leicester University. Sophie recently held a Roman Day for other schools in the Trust, inspiring 2 more schools to join the growing East Midlands network. The best advocates for learning are always pupils. St Winifred's pupils say, a lot of English words derive from Latin. This helps us to learn more. I like the fact we get to learn about the past and real Roman families and real Roman artefacts. So let's hear from Sophie.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi, yes, so Sophie is on the call, but I'm kind of speaking as a colleague on behalf of Sophie. So yeah, we're as you said, we've really loved the journey that we've been on, Sophie and I. I think initially we were told that we were going to do Latin rather than choosing to do it, and we were very nervous, Sophie and myself, to begin with. But you know, we just threw ourselves at it, and we have absolutely loved it, which I think has in turn obviously rubbed off on the children, and it's the enthusiasm we get from them has been absolutely fantastic. As you said, Hilary, we've held a Latin Day, and we've begun to spread the word across our Academy Trust, which has been really well received. And yeah, like you said, a couple of schools have also agreed to do it. So now we're kind of helping them along their journey as well. And I think, yeah, we've just, as others have said, it has linked in really well with the English curriculum. But I think the main thing for us is the effect it's had on the SEN children, as you say, and the children just absolutely love it. They look forward to Latin. So again, as others have said, we're really grateful to have been nominated for the award. We're really grateful for the help we've received from Jane at Leicester University and from Alison, who did our training as well, and also helped with our Latin Day. So we've had a great time. We can't wait to carry on and see where it's going to take us in the future.
Oh, we're really proud of you, and continue to spread the word. And I think it's really important and heartening to hear about how Latin is having an impact on all pupils. That is very much core to our mission. Well done, Liam. Thank you. And the next on our list from the London and South East Network is Beam Primary School in Barking and Dagenham, which is one of the most socially deprived boroughs of London. Over 70% of pupils at Beam have English as an additional language, and nearly 30% are eligible for pupil premium funding. The school began its classics journey during lockdown, introducing Latin to over 500 pupils, the whole of Key Stage 2. According to Latin lead Catherine Cook, pupils love Latin so much that she now runs an extra after-school Latin club for the keen learners who are now staging a play in Latin. Huge congratulations to Catherine and all the staff at Beam. So over to Catherine, please, for a few words.
Thank you, Hilary. As you said, we are a very large primary school in a deprived area of East London. We started our journey in 2019, and we've seen the subject flourish. Staff and pupils love it. One child actually said, it was year 5, he loves learning Latin because when he gets rich and famous, he'll be able to interview people in Latin. But we do have our Latin drama club. I'm hoping to start a course for parents in the next academic year, but none of this happened without you guys at Classics for All, especially Annabelle. She's been absolutely fantastic. So a huge thank you to you guys, all the staff and pupils at Beam that has made this happen and made it so successful. Thank you.
Catherine, you're an inspiration, and when you get that parents thing going, of course, that is one of the other things that we can do to spread the word. With parents behind us and governors behind us, we can make more impact. You're brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the last in the primary category is the Diocese of Ely Multi-Academy Trust from our East of England network. This is slightly different. This year's nomination from Angela Dix is for Tricia Moss, who is the curriculum lead from the Diocese of Ely Multi-Academy Trust. In the last couple of years, Tricia has been an astonishing advocate for classics in the 39 schools that belong to the Trust. As a result of her Herculean efforts, the Trust has now introduced Latin from scratch in 17 primary schools across the region and is continuing to promote classics in all of its 39 schools. Tricia is also planning a primary Latin conference so that teachers can get together and share good practice. Sterling work in such a short space of time. Bravo, Tricia. Scale and impact. Are you there?
I am, yes. Thank you. Thanks very much. I'm absolutely delighted to accept this award on behalf of the Diocese of Ely Multi-Academy Trust. St Peter's Junior School was the first school in our trust to begin teaching Latin as a foreign language. They decided to introduce it there because they had children from so many backgrounds speaking such a wide range of languages that teachers really struggled to cope with the wide range of experiences that the children already had, and also that they didn't feel that they were specialists in any of the languages that they were attempting to teach. And since then, as you said, we now have 17 schools teaching Latin across our trust, with a further 3 schools looking to introduce it in September. And it's particularly popular with our small mixed year group schools, because with the support of Angela, we're able to create a cycle A and B. So in cycle A, the children use Minimus, and then in cycle B, they use Maximum Classics. And with the support of Angela and the funding from Classics for All, we're able to ensure that all of our teachers have the training to be able to support teaching that 2-year cycle. And it means that children who are in the second year of the cycle are able to consolidate previously taught grammar with new vocabulary, and that has been hugely impactful for our children. So massive thanks to Angela and Classics for All, because it wouldn't have been possible without your support.
Yeah, and that is lovely to hear. Angela Dix, our very talented East of England coordinator, who is adaptable and flexible and has worked with mixed age groups here to achieve such a positive result. Well done, Tricia. Thank you very much. So that concludes the part of the evening that's focused on primary school. So I'm going to hand back over to Jimmy now, who's going to talk to Rhiannon Litterick, who's a partner of ours, about how we're working with ancient objects and cultural heritage institutions to bring classics to life in the classroom.
Jimmy, you're on mute.
I'm on mute, which with people I work with is the preferable mode, actually. But can you hear me, Rhiannon?
Yes, hello.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for sparing the time to come and talk to us today. So you're currently the Learning and Outreach Manager at the Society of, now, we had a debate on where the emphasis goes on antiquaries. Is it antiquaries or antiquaries or?
Either is fine. I'm sure there's a party line. I say a mixture of both. It's all good.
So it's either or either? Fine. Okay. That's a terrible joke. So we'll crack on. So when did you first fall in love with classics yourself? Before we get onto the partnership with Classics for All, you have to qualify. So what's your qualification?
So I think I have a couple of qualifications. I found a book of Greek myths when I was about 8, and my mum bought us a metal detector. So I grew up in Braintree and Colchester, so Roman towns, and it started with objects. And the second falling in love was during sixth form, finding out I could get out of games by washing pottery at Colchester Archaeological Trust, and that's really where it began.
Smart move, smart move. I did my I learned classics at a comprehensive in Liverpool in the 60s, and the classics master got me to do ancient Greek because he said you'd have to give up geography and chemistry, and I said, you had me at geography. I can't stand geography and I can't stand chemistry. That's why I did ancient Greek. It doesn't matter how we get into it, because once we're into it, we're into it. Now, but then you went on, you qualified as a classics teacher in 2014, is that right?
Yes.
And then you taught for a couple of years. So what led you into the kind of more physical thing of using the objects? So you were at the Soane Museum for a while?
Yes. So I actually started my career after university in museums. I got a job at my local museum as an object handler, working at Braintree Museum with lots of some Roman objects, but lots of Victorian. I loved the stories. And then I had a detour via educational publishing, and then I went into classics teaching, but I really loved teaching Class Civ, and that was my way in.
Right. And so talk about object. I mean, I fell in love with the radio series, Neil McGregor's the History of the World in 100 Objects, where he brought those objects to life and told us the biography, if you like, of the objects. Can you give us an example of how impactful it is when you show an object to somebody and you unlock it for them?
So recently in my role at the Society of Antiquaries, we did a session with a school from Dartford who the kids had never been to London before, let alone been to a museum before. And we got out some real Roman coins and some Roman stele, and they were able to touch them and look at them and think of questions. What would you ask the person who owned these originally? And it absolutely blew their minds that they'd been learning about the Romans at school in history, but realizing that they're real people who touched these things and used them, and they had a practical use. And we talked about the idea that these metal stele would be used on a wax tablet. What do you use in your classroom? And the idea that school children 2,000 years ago were learning things like they are, it was amazing to see how much they loved it.
Yeah, and that it's interesting, you know, that thing about learning is some children learn by speaking about it and touching things, and it's more of a sensual thing rather than just a purely cognitive and intellectual thing. And is this something that the Society for Antiquaries has always done, reached out to children? And no, this is
so I'm running a brand new learning program. I started in March. The Society's 300 years old, and we've never had learning and outreach before.
Okay, so it's taken them a while to get there, but now they've got there. and it's been successful. And so you partnered up with Classics for All to continue this.
So we're in discussion of continuing that. So my role with Classics for All is I've been at the Soane Museum a long time, both as learning officer and now as a freelancer. We work together to produce a CPD event for teachers about developing strategies for learners' visual literacy in the classroom using classical objects. Because I know from my experience of having been a classroom teacher is not every classics teacher feels comfortable with the archaeological side of things. It can be very text and history based, depending on what degree you've got and your own personal interests. So really helping teachers to bring those objects alive. And we've also run study days for Key Stage 3 based around objects in the Soane's collection.
And so what would they, I mean, so how would you approach a school then and say, are you interested in, do they come to see you? Do you take an object to them? How does it work?
So at the Soane Museum, because this, for anyone who's been, the Soane Museum has its 3 houses belonging to an 18th century architect, Sir John Soane, who loved neoclassical architecture and was like a magpie, collected over 7,000 objects which are in this labyrinthine museum, and everything is everywhere. So the way the learning programme there works is that schools are invited in through Classics for All. The learning team there are great at reaching out to state schools. There's a menu of sessions for primary and some amazing tours for secondary based around things like classics and world history. Students come in for primary Romans, Greeks and Egyptian sessions. They have tours of the museum thinking about key questions, and then they do a workshop based around the topic.
And is this something which museums are now doing more and more, do you think? So they're reaching out to younger people to try and get, because I remember once trying to get my youngest son to come with me, and he did Latin for GCSE. I said, oh, they've got a Pompeii exhibition at the British Museum. He said, oh, it'll just be that dog that, you know, has been frozen in the lava. That's all it'll be, Dad. And I said, no, it won't. It'll be brilliant. Well, of course, when we walked into the museum, the first object was the dog in the. And I remember being dragged around museums as a kid and actually getting very bored, because, you know, it wasn't explained. I couldn't hold the objects. I felt very kind of remote from them. So you actually get opportunities to actually touch these things.
Yeah, so particularly not at the Soane where all the objects are on display, but at the Society of Antiquaries, we have the opportunity for students to come and hold objects. I have a replica collection of objects where we have real life ones. So for example, I've got a replica oil lamp, which is almost identical to original that we've got. So students can come, see the original, hold a replica and really get to grips with it that way. So the different museums that I work at have different approaches, but I totally agree with you. I think museums are learning that we need to be interactive. To carry on as institutions, we need to welcome people of all backgrounds into us, and particularly children and young people. There's a charity called Kids in Museums who very much open up access to as many people as possible to stop that stereotypical boring museum visit. But I love museums, and I remember being bored silly as a child at times.
Yeah. But I mean, what you were saying there could be a kind of advert for Classics for All, really, because it's about that feeling that it is for everybody. Why should it feel as though it's far away in the distance, when in fact these objects are there in every city. Every city usually has a reasonably good, well-stocked museum, and it's about getting the message out that, you know, that you can come and you can play with them. I mean, I think that in London, you know, obviously we're quite lucky with places like the Science Museum. I remember dragging my children around there and then releasing them into the interactive zone, which was fantastic. And, you know, I think more initiatives like that, I think, will be very, very helpful. So have you got anything planned for Classics for All coming up?
So we're running more study days at the Soane Museum for Key Stage 3. They're happening in the autumn, and plans are afoot to run more things both at the Soane, and I'm actually meeting Tom and Hilary on Friday to discuss /plot for Society of Antiquaries.
Well, I think you've started a fire here, because I actually think I can see this happening in regions around the country as well, where we can actually start to talk to local museums around the country to do this. Because I think you're right. It's anything that engages the young imagination. And like you said, you know, when you were a kid, it's just having that idea that you could maybe discover something, you know, find something. I remember I was taken on a school trip up to Hadrian's Wall, and we were looking for a bridge that went over the River Irving, which had a Roman millstone in it, and we were walking up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, and someone said, "What's that over there, sir?" And we pointed to something in a field surrounded by cows 100 yards away, and the bridge was now in a field because the River Irthing had obviously decided to change its course. I wouldn't know that because, as I pointed out, I'm not very good at geography. But someone who was good at geography said, oh, that's what happens to rivers. They actually choose the easiest way to go around. But that was such an exciting discovery, you know, and we could clamber over it, and we could touch it and feel it and really experience it. So I think that the work you're doing is absolutely invaluable. And thank you very much for sharing your abilities with the Classics for All. And I hope we go from strength to strength with you.
Thank you.
I think, Hilary, it's back to you. Thanks, Rhiannon.
And I'm back, I think. Video mishap, it seems to be. I don't know why it's my video. Can you hear me now? Yes. Fumbling away there with the controls. We're now on to the second part of the evening, which is our secondary schools. And I'm delighted to kick off with a nomination from the University of Birmingham, from Eleanor and Hebe, who describe Sian Squire from Shrewsbury Colleges Group as a one-woman wonder. She single-handedly shepherded the classics department at the college, and it now boasts a cohort of more than 100 students studying classical civilization at A-level. Sian's engagement, they say, is relentless. There's a never-ending stream of ideas for events, talks, crafts and competitions. And through developing links with a local independent school, Sian has given her students even more opportunities, including the chance to take part in a production of Oedipus Rex. Her students come to class with classically themed gifts, cakes, and even news of an ancient Mediterranean jewellery business. Not quite sure what's meant there, but sounds fascinating. And with 25% of Sian's pupils going on to study the ancient world at university, she truly deserves this nomination. Over to Sian.
Oh, hello. Here I am. So, I mean, basically, I've worked in the state sector since about 96, so I've been doing this for about 27 years. And I'll be honest with you, it feels like I'm becoming a bit of a part of the ancient history syllabus myself now, you know. But there's never been more of a demand than there has for this particular year. I've got now 87 applications for next September, which is just stunning. And, you know, we're getting students here in Shrewsbury Colleges Group from as far away as Aberystwyth, which is 60 miles away. And because their local schools and colleges don't offer anything. So I'm very, very lucky, and I'm really pleased that you've chosen that picture, actually, because the people in that picture are our management. So our principal there is James Staniforth, who never tires of telling me that his tutor at university was Mary Beard. And our head of sixth form, who's basically got a Latin A-level, Chris Sears. But the person I deal with on a day-to-day basis is actually a historian called Sarah Roberts. And she's just been amazing at sort of getting me involved in publicizing really what we do. So we've got a Twitter feed that we call Classical Civilization Shrewsbury. We've got a YouTube site that we call Classical Civilization Shrewsbury. And that's gained a lot of interest over the last year or so. But the most important people, I think, are, you know, is every single student that's ever popped their head around my door and said, "Hi, Sian, can we talk about classics in some way or other?" Because my motto has always been, if you can breathe, I'll teach you something about the ancient world. And you know what? It's amazing what students have gone on to do. We've had our Dr. Will Coles, who's from Royal Holloway, is actually, who's just gone on, got his PhD in classics. He was one of ours. They've gone on to write for Coronation Street. Lots have become actors. And the jewellery, incidentally, is a little organization called Plato's Fire, which creates acrylic jewellery. And what you're actually seeing there, the Medusa's head, strangely enough, you won't believe it, is actually cake. So, wow. You know, the things that students go on to do with this subject, classics is challenging, but it is enormously creative, whether you're an actor, a script maker. And I'm extremely, you know, grateful to Classics for All for keeping us going. I mean, we're looking to set up a podcast next year with the help, hopefully, of the award that you've sort of given us. So thank you very much for that, Hilary.
Well, I hope you'll share that with us, Sean, and thanks for your relentless enthusiasm and invention. It's brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next, we're moving now swiftly down to the southwest to Ollie Taylor, who's from Fairfield High School, who began teaching GCSE classical civilization only in September 2022. He's been described by the Bristol Network and Lizzie and others as a paradigm of engagement. He recently volunteered to test out a new scheme of work developed by the University of Bristol and their alumni in his school's classics club, kind of using the kids as guinea pigs for these new ideas. It was a fantastic opportunity for the Bristol team to test out their resources in a classroom setting. And it's also boosted awareness of classics at Fairfield, and it will hopefully encourage more students to take up Class Civ at GCSE. Thanks to Ollie for his enthusiasm and his collaborative spirit. Ollie.
Oh, sorry. Hi. Yeah, thank you so much for the nomination. I think we sort of, as you said in your introduction, I took over classics this year at Fairfield. I've got no sort of specialism at all in classics. I think the only thing I'd really done was read the Odyssey as my first year. So I got in touch with Lizzie when I took it over and sort of said, we want to keep the course going. And I think Classics for All have sort of provided loads of stuff that have enabled us to do that. So Lizzie has helped us to pair. The picture there is one of the trips that we went to with our students, so that they had some real specialists sort of talking to them for the day. And as part of that, we saw Tom, who's in the other picture, who runs a group called Equity in Classics, who are developing that scheme of work that I think he is sort of preparing to roll out. And I think as a result of that and the training that we've sort of been provided, and all of the network that is sort of exists within Bristol, it's meant that we've been able to replan our Class Civ course. So hopefully that is sort of robust and strong enough, and that will run through to next year. We've been able to go back to our Key Stage 3 curriculum and replan that with 2 new units, and we've started to embed some of the stuff that Tom has sort of planned into that as well as sort of setting up our classics club. And we know as a sort of result of that, it's doubled the amount of people that have signed up for Class Civ GCSE next year. So we're hoping that we can continue to build that, and we're very, very grateful for the support of Classics for All.
Well, it's a complete pleasure, and long may it prosper and grow. And you can come back to us again if you need more help. Now, next on, we're going rapidly up to the north now, and to the northwest. Very fond of Liverpool we are. And the award this year is to an old friend, really, which is Liverpool College, where Hans Bruckmann is the principal, the head teacher. And the award is to Joanne McNamara, who's head of classics at Liverpool College, which is an all-through academy teaching kids from right up to 3 to 18. And it's also home to our Liverpool network, which is run so inimitably well by Alice Case. And classics is thriving at the school. At Liverpool College, a pupil can study classics all the way from year 7 up to 11. There's Latin and classical studies, and they're available at GCSE, and classical civilization is available at A-level. Joanne also runs the successful Classics Postgraduate Teacher Training Scheme, coaches the head boy and girl to deliver a Latin oration for speech night, and regularly puts on Greek plays with the drama department. Liverpool College is a welcoming and generous host to the Liverpool Classics for All network, and it's helped Classics for All to increase its presence in the schools in the Northwest. Joanne is part of a successful partnership with an independent school which trains other regional schools. She runs trips to the Cambridge Greek play and hosts Classical Association events. Above all, she's a wonderful sounding board for the network and generous with her experience and enthusiasm for others. Joanne.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Hilary. And thanks so much for the nomination. I'm really, really proud to accept this on behalf of our department. The department is 10 years old. We've been lucky to be, supported by our headmaster in creating this department when the school became a state-maintained academy. we teach Latin to everyone in year 7 and have recently been changing our schemes of work so that we can carry on teaching it to everyone in year 7 to 9, making our schemes of work a bit more inclusive, because we used to just offer it after year 7 to the top sets. We've decided to do away with that now and keep going with everyone up to year 9 and hopefully get more people doing it at GCSE. But I feel so lucky to work in this department and to have Alice Case so close by, because she's like a 4th member of our department. So Classics for All have helped us in so many ways, and she organises fantastic events that we can then just, you know, piggyback on and give so many extra experiences to our students. The photographs there, for example, are our 6th formers recently going on a Liverpool University study day that Alice was central to organising. It was a brilliant day, and they made ancient jewellery, and there's some a little Lego activity that they did, recreating scenes from classical literature and so on. You know, she runs the Greek Academy on a Saturday, and you know, she organised the trip to the Cambridge Greek play, which we enjoyed going on. So I'm really grateful for everything that Alice does and everything that Classics for All and its donors do. So, you know, thank you very much for the award and the support.
Well, we're immensely proud to be associated with you, and we wouldn't be the same without our regional coordinators and people like you, Joanne, who do the really hard work. And it's amazing how Classics has come on in Liverpool under your tenure. Okay, thank you very much. Next in Manchester and Leeds, an award to Dixon's Cottingley Academy and to Laura Clements, who is the principal teacher of English at the Academy in Bradford, where most pupils are from a minority ethnic background and many are eligible for pupil premium. Last summer, Laura launched a scheme of work about Homeric epic for her year 7s, 11-year-olds in the English curriculum, with a hugely popular Greek day, which will now be repeated annually. She motivates students with imaginative activities, which are equally fun for staff, and her infectious energy has been an inspiration for all those who work with her. A word or two from Laura. Laura there?
Good evening, sorry, can you hear me okay?
Yes, hi Laura.
Hi, first of all, obviously, thank you so much for the award on behalf of Dixon's Cottingley English. We're very, very grateful for it. We are still quite early in our kind of turnaround journey. We've gone from special measures to good in the past few years. So when I joined a few years ago, we barely even had a sound English curriculum in place. So we do not teach classics, but we obviously thought that exposure to the bedrock of Western literature was really, really important from year 7 onwards. If they can understand Achilles' hubris in year 7, then they can understand Macbeth's in year 11, was our thinking there. So our second cohort of year 7s are now being exposed to the Homeric epic scheme, and we are holding another Greek day next Friday. So obviously a massive thank you to Will Mundy and all the volunteers who've worked with us and helped us to make Greek Day possible, and thank you as well to Alice Case and all of your other colleagues at Classics for All who've supported us. And we've also done the root word CPD as a faculty, which is a lot of fun, and on the whole I'm just really, really hoping that we can spread classics through the Dixon's academies and kind of continue this legacy that we've started at Dixon's Cottingley. So thank you.
And with all your energy, I'm assuming it will spread. So keep trying, keep persuading, and we'll send an army. We'll send an army up there, maybe not of Romans, to help you sort it all out.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, Laura. Next, moving swiftly on. I'm just slightly conscious of time and people's evenings, but Berwick Academy. We're really excited at the moment by the fact that there's a lot of great work happening in the Northeast. Historically it's been quite slow to take off up there, but we've recently relaunched our Northeast network, and it's led by Laura Hope and supported by the universities of Durham and Newcastle, as well as the Royal Grammar School in Newcastle. And a recent jewel in the crown of the network is Stephen Thompson at Berwick Academy. Stephen's a modern linguist by trade, so am I, by the way, and he's worked tirelessly to get Latin into the school on the curriculum and has learnt Latin ab initio on the job. According to Laura Hope, Stephen is an incredibly enthusiastic Latin teacher with a contagious passion for the subject. He makes exciting cross-curricular links using his knowledge of modern languages. Next year 5 students will be studying for Latin GCSE for the first time, and there will be more to follow.
Laura says, there's a palpable buzz about Latin at Berwick, and hopefully this award helps acknowledge Stephen's place at the centre of it. Very nice words. Stephen.
Yeah, good evening from the far north of England. So I'd just like to start by saying I feel very honoured to receive this award on behalf of Berwick Academy, and I'd just like to start by saying as well, thank you very much to Classics for All and also to the Royal Grammar School in Newcastle, without whom, you know, none of this would have been possible. So Latin has been introduced to Berwick for 2 years, and our numbers are continuing to grow. So as you say, 5 people are going to take it next year, and we're looking at maybe even triple that number for the next cohort coming through. We have a 3-tier system here, so we start in year 9. People enjoy learning Latin for various reasons, and one of the comments is that the lessons fly by and they can see links with you know, cross-curricular things and things in the modern world as well. For example, you know, it was quite interesting for us to realize that even though we are in England, we weren't in the Roman version of England because we're north of Hadrian's Wall. So Classics Funding has helped us visit Hadrian's Wall and Vindolanda, go to a private school for some lessons, and also visit Newcastle museums. Just look forward to seeing where this is going to take us in the future, because as I say, numbers are continuing to grow at a quite massive rate, really. So just thank you again.
Well, thank you for spearheading this revolution in Berwick, and hopefully it'll spread. There'll be some contagion. You've done a brilliant job, Stephen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to the Midlands, down to the Midlands, we're dotting around geographically. This is Oxford, Buckingham and Berkshire Network, which is currently run by Linda Soames. And the nomination is for Trinity School in Newbury. It's an ambitious school for its students. And in 2020, religious studies specialist Lawrence McCabe approached us for some help to introduce classical civilization at GCSE. Since then, it's gone from strength to strength. The first cohort of students will sit their exams this summer. And Lawrence is also training to teach AS level classical civilization from 2023, as well as introducing a new classics club and a Latin club for year 7. So soon classics will be available to pupils from at all key stages in the school, thanks to his tireless efforts. Lawrence.
Hiya, thank you so much. I think, yeah, in 2019, our head of humanities was sort of shocked by the real lack of sort of classical knowledge our students had. So we sort of set out to try and change that. And I think now here we are 3-4 years later, and yeah, my year 11s have just sat there GCSE. I think they were very, very pleased with how it went. Some of them are taking it on to A level, and I think hopefully we can continue to build it, because I think for me as a RS teacher, I think I've loved it. So hopefully the students will love it. And I think with this, thanks to the support of Classics for All, it's been brilliant. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Listen, Lawrence, it's great to see teachers of other disciplines, as well as so many English RS teachers, history teachers, getting a buzz out of adding a new string to their bow, learning a new skill, which enhances teaching across all areas. Fantastic work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and we're moving far up north now to Scotland, where, as Alex Imrie, our Scotland coordinators know, the curriculum and the context it's more difficult than England for a variety of reasons we won't go into. So what Alex says is that Susan Rowley at Bucky Community High School has achieved, and we know there's something truly remarkable. So from a standing start, she's really thought to give her pupils access to the classical world. As a first step, she had to develop her own knowledge and teaching skills to meet the draconian requirements of the General Teaching Council. Since then, she's taken the lead, bringing classics to her pupils through digital technology. The results speak for themselves, and in only a few years, she's nurtured a very robust community of classicists who learn both classical studies and Latin at various levels. This has made Bucky a little bit of a beacon for classics teaching in Scotland, and she's done all of this with boundless positivity. She's a worthy winner of a CFA Teaching Award. And so over to you, Susan.
Wow, thank you very much. I have to absolutely thank Alex Imrie. Through Classics for All. He has been an absolute whirlwind of support. He organised our grant from yourselves, with which we bought my first 30 years of teaching on my first ever brand new set of textbooks. We got 30 Subarani, so thank you very much. And he also organised a mentorship through yourselves, and she has promised that she's listening tonight. So a massive thank you to the Scottish Latin teaching legend, Jennifer Shearer, who mentored me weekly and taught me how to teach Latin, and that was all done through yourselves. Without that support, we could quite simply not be offering the 5 certificate courses that we're offering this year in Latin and classical studies. Our pupils are enthusiastic and committed, but we are not the typical school that you would look to be launching these subjects. And that's why Classics for All is so important, because our subjects are for everyone. They're for all pupils. And when you offer support to schools to offer these courses, the pupils will choose them. And I think that's what you're all about. And we're just so grateful for the award and for your support.
And I am so personally so proud of you, Susan, because I know from Alex just how hard you've had to work to make this happen. And let's hope that we can replicate you in Scotland, so that we've got communities all across Scotland soon. It's coming along really well, but courtesy of people like you. So brilliant and well done, and come back to us at any point for more support. And moving across now quickly to another part of the country, and this is to our Welsh Classics Hub. And this is to, I hope I'm going to pronounce this right, I think it's Cruciliog School. I might have got it slightly wrong. I meant to do my homework beforehand. Like Scotland, Classics in Wales faces unique challenges, and it competes for space in the Welsh national curriculum, and it requires that teachers really go above and beyond the call of duty. At the school in the town of Cwmbran, over a third of pupils are eligible for free school meals. And teacher Nathan Phillips is currently striving to introduce the ancient world into the curriculum, with aspirations to introduce classical civilization GCSE. To generate interest, Nathan took pupils to attend a classics club at the Caerleon Roman fortress and baths. And momentum is building. And with the help of the hub, the school will soon be another important classics outpost in Wales. So this is the beginning of a really exciting classic journey. Over to Nathan. Is Nathan there?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Did I really mess up the, how do you pronounce it?
No,
Nathan?
Cruciliog is how
Yeah, I couldn't quite get my tongue around it. I'm sorry.
It's hard. I struggle as well. I just want to first start by saying thank you to Classics for all their work and support, and for honouring us with this award. We wouldn't have been able to achieve everything we've done this year without the charity, so I'm really thankful for that. I also just want to say a huge congratulations to everyone else. I'm sitting here listening, and I'm so impressed with everything everybody's achieved. I hope that one day in the future I have a bit of impact as you have all had, because we've only had a club, but the impact that everyone else has been absolutely amazing. So we introduced classics into our curriculum through Year 7 and the Studying of the Odyssey, and through an after school club, and we never thought we would have such a huge interest and uptake in such a sort of disadvantaged part of Wales. So it's been really, really fantastic for and a brilliant opportunity for the pupils. And we've provided the opportunity for the pupils to study a range of topics in the classical world. In particular, they've learnt a bit of ancient Greek, thanks to us having access to a Greek teacher within the school, who's also a maths teacher, which is really kind of bizarre to have. But it's been a great opportunity for them, and they've really engaged and been enthusiastic about the subject. And we even have one student going on to do A-level classical civilization next year, which is shows the level of enthusiasm that students have had this year for it, and hopefully we can build on that going into next year.
Yeah, and we wish you well with that, and I'm sure with your enthusiasm it will. And there are people around the country who can help. So again, you know, people are at different stages in their classics journeys, but it's a brilliant start and I can see it gathering momentum. Well done, Nathan. Thank you. Our penultimate award, this is for our Warwick Classics Network, which is run by Paul Grigsby, the wonderful Paul Grigsby, who has nominated Stacey Howe, who's an associate assistant head teacher, tongue twister, at Stoke Park School in Coventry. And she was one of the first teachers to contact the Warwick's Classics Network back in 2018, seeking support to introduce classics to this inner city Coventry school. Stacey has been key to the success of classics and Latin at Stoke Park, and starting with 180 Year 7 pupils in 2018, her tireless enthusiasm has paid off. So the school now offers Class Civ and Latin throughout the whole of Key Stage 3 on the curriculum. And in September, their first cohort of students will be studying Latin at GCSE. Stacey is always keen, she's energetic, inspiring, and an amazing role model for other schools, showing what is possible if you believe in the importance of classics as a subject. So over to Stacey.
Thank you so much. So first of all, on behalf of Stoke Park School, it's an honour to be gathered with all of you here this evening, especially here in the fantastic work that's going on in other schools across the whole country. So yes, back in 2018, my head teacher, Natalie Rock, who has a classics background herself, tasked me with thinking about how we could get classics and Latin more involved, and was really key in championing the place of classics in state schools for our students who obviously wouldn't necessarily get to access it any other way. So working alongside Paul Grigsby and Steve Hunt as well, we set up classics and Latin in Year 7 for 180 pupils, and we've then been fortunate enough to be able to roll it up every year since, and actually support other schools within our trust to take it on also. So it's been really positive that we've had that influence in our own school, but we've been able to widen it out since. There's no higher praise really that we can give to classics than the words of one of our Year 7 pupils, who when a visitor was visiting the school said, studying classics, it's like glue, it makes everything else stick together.
Wow.
And I think that's really, really something that stayed with us in terms of our ethos of why it is that we do classics as a school. It enables that curriculum linkage so students can understand how our subjects don't exist in boxes, but they all connect and link together. It's transformed vocabulary teaching across the school, and it's also, you know, given our students that ability to aspire and to feel that just because they go to a state school, it doesn't mean that any aspect of knowledge is you know, barred to them, that they can learn whatever they want to. Now, the work we've done obviously would not be possible without Classics for All, and we're so grateful for that. And we're really excited now for where our classics journey can go next. So thank you very much.
That was inspiring, Stacey. We should bottle some of what you said there, I think. And I absolutely love the quote about the glue is the glue that sticks everything together. And that is something we increasingly hear, just in terms of I suppose, building that cultural capital knowledge right across the curriculum. It's fantastic. Well done, you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And finally, our last award, which is dedicated, it's called the Chris Pilcher Award. In May 22, we were incredibly sorry to hear of the tragic passing of Chris Pilcher. He was a passionate and dedicated teacher at Sir Frederick Gibbard College in Harlow, Essex, and he worked very closely with Anna Bell, our London coordinator, bringing Latin and classics to his school. His parents nominated Classics for All as his chosen charity for donations in his memory. He was thoughtful, enthusiastic and caring, and he had a spark which made the difference between a good teacher and a great teacher. To honour his memory, we're awarding the Chris Pilcher Award each year to one school in special recognition of outstanding accomplishment in bringing classics to young people in state schools, an endeavour to which he was amongst the most committed and successful. So in the second year of this award, it goes to Archbishop Tennyson's C of E School in Croydon. So Archbishop Tennyson School has been busily and very successfully teaching classics since 2015, when head teacher Richard Parrish introduced Latin to all 120 students in Year 7 as part of the English curriculum. Latin has since firmly taken root and is now taught right up to GCSE, and classical civilization is also offered at A level. Teachers Lucy Phillips, Francesca Ryan and Fabiano De Carlo deserve huge praise for making Latin and classical civilization classes the huge success that they've been at Tennyson's. Overall, the school has offered around 900 pupils in Croydon the opportunity to study the ancient world. Well done to everyone for their hard work and dedication in growing the subject so successfully. I don't know whether there are 3 of you out there, whether it's Lucy, Francesca and Fabiana, but whoever's there, please tune in. Anybody there from Archbishop Tennyson's? Sorry, is it Richard? Is Richard Parrish there?
Yes. Yes,
Sorry,
I'm here.
Richard. Kind of slightly uncertain who we were expecting there, but welcome and over to you.
They're not allowing me to start my video because it's been stopped, but I am here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Well done.
I'll try make one more go at starting my video, but can I just say first of all that we're deeply humbled to receive this award because we know what a great organisation Classics for All is. And I've just been so inspired by hearing from everybody else what they've been doing across the country, and often in quite difficult circumstances. So thank you, Hilary, for arranging this evening. Thank you for the inspiration, and thank you for this amazing award. You're right, it's been a journey we've been on since 2015. It was a deputy head, Nathan Waters, who inspired me. He said, "You've got a Latin A level. We think you could teach Latin to year 7. I hadn't taught year 7 seriously for 20 years, so it was a bit of a learning curve. But I'm still doing it on a Monday morning for two periods of Latin. But the key people are those you see, Lucy and Fabiana, and Francesca as well, joining them this year. Fabiana Di Carlo joined us in 2017 as our main teacher of classics. And we've seen classics go from 2 people doing it at GCSE to 40 people doing it next year. Lucy Phillips, during Fabiana's maternity leave, has really taken up the baton incredibly well. They're a fantastic team, and we're just so grateful to our pupils and students for the way they have responded. And we're particularly grateful to Annabelle, who right in that early stages helped us going, and to you, Hilary, and everybody at Classics for All. So thank you.
Yeah, you're extraordinarily welcome, and it's great to see these sustained journeys as things grow and build. Well done, Richard and the team. And that's it, folks, for the award ceremony for this year. Congratulations to you all, to all the nominees, and an amazing work, and thank you for your hard work. And I'm now going to hand over to Jimmy, who's going to conclude proceedings for us.
Thanks, Hilary. That was inspiring. And it kind of reminded me that in Liverpool, in working class Liverpool, that's my dog, by the way, who's barking at me. He wants to go for a walk. That a classics teacher actually changed my life, and we've seen tonight a cohort of classics teachers that are doing similar work across the country. So congratulations to all of you. Well deserved. I hope it inspires you to go on to greater things even next year. And really, thank you also to our wider audience of colleagues and friends and supporters, without whom we could not do the work that you just seen being celebrated today. So without further ado, I'm going to wish you all a great summer. I'll take away a lot of things that have been said tonight, especially the glue remark was just genius.
Yeah, genius.
We should put that on a poster. We should get all your faces tonight, put it on a poster and say classics is the glue that sticks everything else together.
I agree. It's a brilliant quote.
So thank you all for coming and attending this. Next year, as Hilary said, we're going to try and do this live. We're going to try and have a drink together in a room somewhere and share our stories somewhere in the country. We don't know where. If you've got any ideas, please send them to Hilary. I'm going to have a think about it and try and make it happen. Until then, have a fantastic summer, and I hope I meet some of you on the road of happy destiny in the autumn. So thank you very much.
And a brilliant, thank you, Jimmy, for hosting as usual with such charm and grace and being here for us. You're fantastic. And congratulations to everybody, and to Tom as well, who's been behind the scenes. Magnificent job as usual, sorting out the technical side and the running order, etc. And thank you very much. Have a great summer, well-deserved break, and see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.